Welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. I'm Brian, Kitchen, Mr. Smith. And today I thought we'd make a turtle cheesecake. Felt like bacon, wanted to try. I've been wanting to try this recipe for a while now. I'm actually making 2 cheesecakes today. But I'm going to show you how to make turtle cheesecake. The other one's just New York style cheesecake, which I think I have a video on, like way back at the beginning of the baking videos. So check that one out if you do. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Really. I mean, you guys have no idea. And I hope you get something out of watching this. And any of my other videos. We do a lot. And if you're returning, thank you, as always. I don't take you guys for granted in any way, shape, or form. So, to make a turtle cheesecake, it's based on the turtle candies. Yeah, it's chocolate covered caramel and pecans. And this is pretty much it in cheesecake form. As always, I've never, most recipes I do for the first time with you guys. And we just see how it turns out. If we like it, we keep it. If we don't, I tear it out of the handy dandy notebook, which I have yet had one to go, and get rid of it. The few recipes we have had bungles with, we just fixed. Not a problem. And kept them going. But anyhow, let me get the camera down here and we'll start by making the crust. This has got an Oreo crust to it with a layer of chocolate cheesecake and a layer of vanilla cheesecake with just all kinds of loveliness on top. So, let me get you down here. We'll start making the crust, all right? All right, now, this cheesecake, much like all cheesecakes, this one is included. They don't take long to make the actual cake part, but today, instead of putting these in the oven or this one in the oven for 10 minutes at a time, or 10 minutes at 350 degrees, we're just going to let it chill in the fridge while we make the batter. So, as always, I will give you what you need in cup weights, teaspoons, tablespoons, and I'll also give it to you in grams when I can. Matter of fact, things you will need for this recipe are scale, probably a good mixing bowl, and then you will need a mixing bowl, sort of, and then a food processor or something that will process Oreos, because we're actually going to, the crust for this is an Oreo crust. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to weigh these Oreos because I didn't write the grams down. But you're going to need 20 regular Oreos, not the double stuff, just regular Oreos. And I'll weigh these real quick so I can get it written down. There's that. All right. In case you are curious, 20 Oreos weighs 229 grams. 229 grams. All right. And then we will need to take these and we will have to put them in the food processor, and we're just going to pulse them a few times. Give them a minute. I mean, we don't want a fine powder, but we definitely don't want big chunks. I'll show you here in just a second when I get done with these. Oh, haha. You got to plug it in first. There we go. Plugged in. Ready to go. I'll explain why here in a minute. All right, we got those pulsed. And they're still in fairly large chunks, but there's a reason for that. And I'll show you here in a second. But we got most of them broke up most of the way. Now what we need to do is add in a half a cup of pecans, which I've got sitting in a pan out here. We'll talk about them here in just one second. If you are new to my channel, you are looking at my entire kitchen pretty much. So I keep a lot of things, especially when I got something that's got a lot of moving parts, so to speak. I keep them out in the dining room next to us. So we're going to need a half a cup of roasted pecans. Now, to roast your pecans, if you so desire, which enhances the flavor immensely, I put them in a pan here. You're actually going to need a full cup. So if you actually roast yours, you'll need a full cup for this entire recipe. You're going to put them on a baking sheet or in a pan, a small pan. Put them in your oven at 350 degrees for about 6 minutes, no more than 10. You'll start to smell them. And a half a cup of pecans is 50 grams. You guys are basically getting to see how I write out a recipe when I don't have the grams to go with it. All right, we'll set those aside. And then we are going to put those in there and finish pulsing this up till we get a small crumb. all the way even. Alright, so we got those done right there. Right there's what we're looking like. It's not, not a powder by any means. We're not making chocolate milk mix, but, they're a finer crumb. Now we're going to take this, set the processor base aside. We're going to get our bowl out. We're going to pour that in there. The next thing you will need for this is a 1/4 cup of melted butter. All right, just a 1/4 cup. We're going to pour this in our mix. We're going to take our spatula. Yeah, I may not always mention the spatula, but for baking wise, mostly cooking too, you always need a spatula of some sort or a spoon. But we're just going to mix this up. We're not looking to get these things sopping wet. We just want to, give them a good mix. But they should still be loose. You don't want it to be an Oreo ball. Although that would be cool, wouldn't it? Alright, so we got that done. Now all we have to do is, we'll set that aside for a second, is grab our springform pan. I am using a 9-inch springform pan. And make sure you get a good one. I had one I bought the other day that was just, well, not the other day, but a couple weeks back. And it was horrible. I ended up pitching it right after the first use. Make sure you get one. Invest in your tools, I guess is what I'm saying. I didn't for the longest time, paid the price. So we got our 9-inch pan. I have buttered the inside. Whether it's non-stick or not, I still butter the inside. Doesn't hurt, adds flavor. And if your pan happens to lose its non-stick, your stuff won't stick. And you don't want it to stick with a cheesecake. That can get interesting. We're going to pour this in, and we're just going to do it flat. We're not going to take any up the sides. And we'll go ahead and flatten this out all the way around. We'll give it a good smush down. So we got our crust smushed down, nice and even and flat. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this, we're going to put this in the fridge for about 30 minutes. Alright, so when I come back, I got to get everything cleaned up a little bit here. We'll go ahead and start making our cream cheese, the cake itself, while the crust is chilling for the next 30 minutes. Alright, I'll be right back. Okay, so got everything straightened up, put away, got both my crusts in the fridge. I just went ahead and made up my graham cracker crust for the other one. And we'll get our mixer plugged in. Now, I would recommend using a stand mixer for this. Not that you couldn't by any means use a hand mixer, but I don't think you can make a cheesecake by hand. I mean, maybe you could. I don't know. Who am I to judge? So, anyhow, I'm using my stand mixer, paddle attachment, if that's what you're using. And first thing we're going to do is we need 4 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese. Okay? That's 4 packages, 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. So, room temperature, that's essential. I can't preach that enough. I got these out, first thing this morning, 5 o'clock this morning. They were out and sitting on the counter and letting them warm up. Get them out the night before if you're going to do this in the morning. If you're going to do it in the afternoon, evening, get them out first thing in the morning. The warmer they are, the fewer lumps you have, and the smoother and creamier the filling is. So, we're going to go ahead and put that in there, and what we're going to do is first thing we're going to do is we're going to cream this up, alright? Which means we're just going to run it. Got that creamed up, let it run for, I don't know, about a minute, and we're literally just taking it, to cream it means we're taking it from a block, and we're just making it like a cream, it'll look like Cool Whip, but way denser, way heavier. So we'll go ahead and get the sides of our bowl scraped down. And the next thing we're going to need to add to this, I'm steadily learning the more cream cheesecakes I make, the more they're kind of the same. There's not a whole lot of variation on a theme, so to speak. So the next thing we need to add to this is 2 things, which I don't see the other thing. There it is. Is the brown sugar, 1 cup of brown sugar, right? Yep, of brown sugar, and then that's it. Make sure you pack it, All right, see how that's on there? It's real tight and dense. I can't really squeeze it down anymore. That means it's packed. It's 200 grams. You don't have to pack it in a thing. I packed it like this, A, to show you, B, so it would fit in this container. But if you have a scale, you don't have to worry about packing it down. It's just 200 grams. So we're going to put this in here, just like that. Now, with the cream cheese, you're going to want to take, with brown sugar, you're going to want to take something and break that up, okay? You don't want it in clumps because it'll stay in clumps, unfortunately. Brown sugar is very soft and it doesn't break up real easy. Oh, pardon me. So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to beat this on medium-high for about 3 to 5 minutes to ensure it's got a nice, light, fluffy-looking texture. All right? I'll be right back in just a minute. All right, we let that run for about 3-4 minutes, and now we're, nice and whipped, looking light and fluffy, like creamy mashed potatoes, only a little denser maybe. Now we just want to get in there with our spatula, make sure we got everything truly mixed. We're in good shape, I do believe. Now maybe you have some little lumps in there. Mix it a little bit more. Not a big deal. Cream cheese is, if you have lumps in it when you go to bake it, even though you bake a cheesecake for a long time, it doesn't really melt. So if you've got little lumps in the beginning, you're going to have little lumps in the end. Unfortunately, that's just the kind of the nature of cream cheese. So we'll get that good and cleaned off there. There's that. Then we'll move on to our next ingredients. Cheesecakes don't take long to put together. They really don't. So the next things we need to put into this are our vanilla, which is 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla. Let me mute my show there. I forgot to turn it off. 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla. And then we got 4 eggs. 4 large eggs, 200 grams. And what we're going to do is we're going to mix these in one at a time. All right, so we'll put one in, and we're going to mix it until the yellow goes away, until you don't see any more yellow streaks. So we're going to put our last egg in. Bam, right there. And now that we got that in, we're going to take 2 tablespoons of flour. All right. I do believe, because there's 2 different amounts of flour in this recipe if I remember right. I'm sorry, 1/4 cup of flour right here. 2 teaspoons is back here. We're going to take our 1/4 cup, 50 grams worth, or 30 grams worth of flour. Just regular old all-purpose flour. 1/4 cup, 30 grams. And we're just going to put this in slowly. We're going to almost sift it in. Yeah, if you have a little sifter, run with it. I have one. I'm just not using that. We got our vanilla. We got our 1/4 cup, 30 grams of flour in there. Let that run for a minute. All right, we'll let that run for a minute. Now we're going to take this off. Give our paddle a good cleaning. This time it needs a good cleaning. It's coming out. And like I said, this is a good time, last chance, at least with your mixer, to kind of look for lumps. So we did. I'm just going to take this off here, scoot the mixer back, and give this a good once over. Make sure all that flour is good and incorporated. Everything's smooth, like we want it to be. Smooth operator. And if you see any lumps, make sure you get them out. I mean, if you don't say, like, I'm not going to put this back on the processor or the mixer if I find any lumps, I will just simply smash it into the wall. And then that way I know my lump is gone and I can move on. Taken care of. We are good and delumped, except for I see a small one right there. See, that's what I'm talking about, man. I had a couple little lumps in here, and I let this cream cheese set out forever. You know, a good 6-7 hours at any rate before I started making this. So you gotta, you know, make sure you got it's truly room temperature, which mine was. I mean, that's just kind of the nature of the beast. All right, so anyhow, next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna take our bowl that we used earlier, make sure it's cleaned out, and we're gonna take about a cup's worth, maybe a little more of our batter, stick it in this bowl. We're gonna make that chocolate half, right? And we want it to be fairly even. That reminded me. When you start this, when you start making your cream cheese cake, when you want to start your oven. Alright, we got that in there. We're going to set the batter to the side for a minute. And then in here I've got a 1/4 cup of chocolate chips. And which weighs... oh my gosh, I've forgotten. I don't think I wrote it down. I know I wrote it down. I'm sorry, it's a 1/2 cup, and it is 170, or geez, Pete, not 170, 85 grams. Yeah, 85 grams, 1/2 cup. Whole cup is 170. I only remember that from, I made some chocolate chip pudding cookies for the school. And I really hope they liked them. I just made them, they got sent today. I made them last night. And hopefully they enjoy them. Alright, so we're going to mix in our 1/2 cup of semi-sweet melted chocolate chips, or if you like a milk chocolate or whatever, whatever your preference is. But this is a kind of a chance to you know, interpretate. You know, say you like chocolate covered, you like the turtles, but you don't care much for the type of chocolate. You prefer a dark chocolate. Boom, you can do a dark chocolate. So we're gonna go ahead and get this mixed up till we don't see any more white streaks, and then we'll move on to the next. Okay, got that all mixed up. Looking good. We are now officially chocolate cheesecake. The last thing we have to make is a caramel sauce. That's gonna, sorry, I'm eating pecans. That's gonna go as the very first layer. So in that, we're gonna want to take our, as soon as I find the spatula, 1 second there. Alright. We need a 1/2 cup of caramel, or caramel, or however you like to pronounce it. And, excuse me, I just simply used my measuring cup that had the butter in it from a minute ago. That way I knew it would slide out easy and I'd get all my caramel. To that, I am going to add some flour. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of flour to this, just like such. And then we're gently going to, well, gently, however, you're just going to whisk this together. Then when you got it about together, we'll add our pecans in there. Now you can crush these up even more, you know, or you can leave them how you got them. That is an option that's completely up to you. You can not pulverize them into peanut butter, but, you know, chop them up real good or however you like them. You know, you're kind of ad-lib in that department. All right, we get these out of here, and then we will move on to what goes next. All right, we got the caramel mixed, just like such. The next thing we have to do is finish prepping our crust bottom in our pan. So, but our crust is cold now. It's not moving anymore. And what you're doing by putting it in the fridge is you're setting the butter. Is all you're doing. So the next thing we have to do before we put this in the oven, or before we put pie filling in it, put it in the oven and all that stuff, we're gonna go ahead and put the foil around our cheesecake pan. Now, when I do this, I use they make two different widths of aluminum foil. They make a 12-inch width and they make a 16-inch width. I recommend getting the 16-inch width, only because if you don't, the water will eventually get into, because you'll have to use two 12-inch liners, and the water will seep into the creases no matter how hard you try. 16-inch pan is not, doesn't have any creases, so you're in good shape. We'll go ahead and get this wrapped like such. I know cheesecakes seem like a lot of work, but they're not. I promise. Yeah, the hard part's baking them. That's just because it takes forever in the oven. Then you gotta let it sit overnight. All right, got that in there. So now we have to take our caramel sauce that we just made, and we're gonna put it in the. It's gonna be the first layer. All right, so we'll get that in there like such. Okay, we got that smoothed out, just like such. Now you can see it doesn't go all the way to the edge, and that's okay because we want it to be kind of a surprise. Yeah. So if it doesn't go all the way to the edge, you're all right. It's not gonna hurt nothing. We got to straighten up this piece of foil. So the next thing we're gonna do is take our chocolate cheesecake batter. We're gonna put it in there first. All right, then we're gonna smooth it out. All right, got that smoothed out. Oh, that tastes amazing. Now, just because I licked my fingers doesn't mean I recommend it to you. All right, so the next thing we got to do is just take the rest of our batter here, and we're just going to gently pour it on the top. And then we'll spread it out. All right, so got that on there. Now what we got to do is just smooth it out real quick. And we can talk about what to do in the oven. Or what's next on the hit list, I should say. So that's it for the cake. Yeah, cake is good to go. So, yeah, ended up with a sink full of dishes over that. That's all right. I think it's going to be well worth it. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tap this on the counter a few times. We're doing that to get any air pockets out of it that might be in it. You don't want air pockets. There we go. All right, we got that in there. And now we're going to take our sheet here, pan, all right, and this is what we're going to use to water bath it in. So all I got to do is grab something to put water in, and we can, that was a hoot. You guys get to see how I cook for real, or bake for real. Never completely prepared, ever. So all we got to do is put our cake in our pan like that, our roasting pan. And we're going to add about an inch of water, 3/4 to an inch of water in here. And like I said, if you use the 12-inch foil, you run the risk of the water seeping in between the cracks. I know I used to be, all the time, I would never remember to buy the whiter foil. and I would use the 12-inch, and it would inevitably get in the cracks. And I will say these particular pans I'm using, they really do seal well, and it's very hard for the water to get in there as long as I keep it below an inch. But just to be on the safe side, I'd rather wrap it without any lines, but to get into. All right, so what are we going to do with this? Well, we're going to sit there and admire it for a second because it's gorgeous. But after that, we are going to put this in the oven. All right, we've got it preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Excuse me. We're going to put it in the oven. We're going to put it in the oven for 75 to 90 minutes. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in the oven, and I will see you in what's a millisecond for you. And it'll be 90 minutes for me. All right. I'll be right back. Okay. So the timer just went off. So we're going to get in here real quick and check it. See where we're at to check it. We're just going to take it, pull it out a little bit right here. And then we're going to wiggle it. See how it jiggles in the center? I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's not jiggling around. It's jiggling right in there in the center, but not very much. Just a little wiggle. So the next thing we got to do is we're going to shut that up. I'm going to turn the oven off. And I'm going to let that just sit in the oven for about a half hour, 45 minutes. And then after it sits in the oven for about a half hour, 45 minutes with the oven off, I'll take it out and I'll put it on a rack and let it cool down to room temperature. So after I pull it out of here in 45 minutes and we let it cool down, put it on the rack, I'll come back and we'll talk about what needs to be done after that. All right, I will see you here in just a second. All right, guys, so we let the cake completely cool, and we are down to the last step for the day because we put this in the fridge for overnight. And so that way it completely firms up. We're not going to take it out of the pan or anything. I learned my lesson on that with the Cinnamon Toast Crunch cheesecake we did. So all we're going to do is we're going to take some plastic, put it over it, but now you don't want to just seal it flush across. We're going to take it and put it down along the cake. That way, because what happens is even though it's room temperature, it's still not as cold as it can be or will be once we put it in the fridge, and you'll get condensation build up on that. You don't want that, because what that ends up doing then is it drips water all over your cake when you go to take it off. So we got it like that right there, and we're just going to stick it in the fridge. All right. Best practice is at least, well, I would put it in the fridge for at least 4 hours if you're going to try and serve it that day. But best practice is leave it in the fridge overnight. You know, give it about 8-10 hours to sit in the fridge and really get solid. So in the morning, we'll get back together, hang out, maybe have some coffee, and we're going to hook this up with some chocolate ganache, and made with the chocolate chips and some caramel and some pecans. All right, we'll get it finished up and take a bite and see how it tastes. All right, I'll see you here in just a second, or first thing in the morning, depending on how you look at it. All right, bye. All right, so we let this sit overnight in the fridge, and I went ahead and got it out of its pan and onto a plate, but there is our end result. Now, some things I noticed, like that right there, it's not burnt. It's the Oreo base. What I could have done to maybe have prevented that is when I pulled it out of the fridge, I went ahead and automatically popped it. If I'd have let it just warm for a second and reran a spatula along the sides of the spring form before I even popped it, that probably wouldn't have lifted up with it. And that's what happened. It was stuck to the spring form, the spring itself, and when I released it, it hit the cheesecake and stayed there. That's all right. I mean, all in all, I am not displeased with that at all. It actually looks quite delicious, if I do say so myself. So we've got 3 things left to do to it before we can take a bite of it. So I'm going to get you down here to the counter, and we'll look at what we need to get done. So to top this, and this is all stuff you can buy at the store, but I made my own. I'm going to start with a caramel sauce, and I made this myself. It's not hard. As a matter of fact, I could probably do a video on it if that's something you guys are interested in. And we're just going to drizzle this on here. I need to make my tip bigger on my... Matter of fact, why don't we do that real quick? We'll just make the tip bigger. Oh, grab that, cut about half that off, just like so, and then that way we can get more caramel on there, and we'll just drizzle this on, you know, kind of any old way maybe. Like such. It was really neat making this caramel sauce. I got the recipe off of Preppy Kitchen, and it's a soft caramel sauce, and it lasts for about 2 weeks, and the recipe makes a pint. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the tip off of this one too. Well, I got it here, maybe if I can get it. There we go. And then I got a chocolate ganache. And chocolate ganache, as long as you don't put it in the fridge, is squeezable, and it's literally just half chocolate, whether it be the bars or chocolate chips or whatever, and then the same exact amount heavy cream. You just heat the heavy cream up till you start to see it bubble along the edges, and then you pour it over top of the chocolate, let it sit for 2-3 minutes, and then you stir it up, and it's done. If you put it in the fridge, it turns in, and you whip it, it can turn into a frosting, which is quite amazing. I'm going to go ahead and get this put on here like such. There we are. I think that looks really pretty. There is our topping. I mean, that's all we're going to do to it. You know, it's got that classic, oh, wait, I lied. One more thing to put on there. I got some pecans here. We'll just throw those on top. Like such. There we go. That looks amazing. All right, now we got some good lookingness to it. All right, well, here's where I'm going to pause for a second before we slice this up and try it. I actually want to get some pictures of it real quick. All right, I'll be right back. All right, we got a couple pictures of it, so that way you guys can see it on our Facebook group and on Instagram, and I can tell the world about what we did. So, let's go ahead and give her a cut and see how she turned out on the inside. What do you say? Now, the one thing about cheesecake is it doesn't take a very big piece in order to make all your dreams come true, so to speak. It is it's traditionally rich, and even with this one, you know, the ingredients lists were still the same. Nothing changed on that, as just about any other cheesecake. So, you know, it's rich. Not horribly healthy for you. The only thing we did different was, you know, we added cocoa to the bottom layer. I mean, that was really pretty much it. You know, we put the Oreo cake bottom, or the Oreo cookie bottom. I mean, we did that on the Oreo pie a while back, or the Oreo cheesecake a while back. All right, and there's how we look on the inside, right there. Yeah, I didn't kind of leave the bottom of the chocolate right there. I got it all over my finger, but I don't think we turned out too bad all in all. I think it'll meet approval. So let's give this bad boy a taste and see if she tastes like turtle cheesecake. What do you say? I'm going to get that little bit out of that corner there. All right. I already tell you that the crust on the bottom is crazy good. I mean, only because it didn't fight me. I won't say it tastes exactly like a turtle candy, but that being said, it's awfully close and really good. I mean, just hands down good. You can taste the chocolate, you can taste the caramel, you can taste the regular cheesecake, you can taste the Oreo crust. Yeah. Hands down. That's good. Yep. I'll take that any day of the week. Hey, we're going to put it in the restaurant when we open up a restaurant. I mean, not that we're going to open up a restaurant. But if we did, I'd put this on the menu. All right. It's really good. It's very rich. It's no joke in the richness category. So, try this recipe. It may challenge you a little. It did me a little. Cheesecakes, for all their simplicity, can be challenging. But as far as the recipe itself went, it was great. It didn't crack. Not even my New York style cheesecake cracked, which I'll show you real quick. There's some pieces missing out of it already. And I had a fail with this one. Yeah, I didn't get the crust thick enough in the center, and guess what stayed on the plate when I pulled it out? But, yeah, and this recipe is already on video, and it tells you how to make it without losing the crust in the center. But that, I mean, that's my New York style cheesecake. It turned out well. Chris really likes it. I think it tastes good. We're putting strawberry jam on it. Well, strawberry preserves that I made. So anyhow, New York style cheesecake. Check that video out. Try this turtle cheesecake. It's good. I like it. I would eat a piece or two if it was served at a party or for dessert. Next week, I don't know what we're going to talk about on Tuesday, but Wednesday and Thursday, as it stands right now, Wednesday, I think I'm going to teach you guys how to make naan bread. It's a type of flatbread, very popular in India and throughout the Middle East. Great bread. I've been making it a lot lately, and it's really easy. It's something that doesn't require a dough hook or a lot of prep work or anything like that. I mean, it's just a simple bread. It's a poor man's bread, but it tastes amazing, and it's really expensive in the grocery store if you buy it pre-made. So I'm going to show you how to make your own. That way it will cost you like 50 cents to make it versus $8 to buy it or whatever it is. And then Thursday, I haven't decided yet. I mean, as far as cake, pie, I'm not sure. I got a couple ideas rolling around, and including maybe just a quick video on how to make the caramel sauce, because the caramel sauce is really, really good. And it's not hard to make. I mean, it's not hard to make at all. You can't leave the stove while you're making it, but it's not hard to make. So, that being said, if you do try this recipe, let me know what you think. You know, like, Brian, I loved it. You know, or Brian, I hated it. Or Brian, you're a jerk for even making this video. I'm okay with it either way. I just, you know, like the value of your opinion, and I like the conversation. So, I love you. I love you very much. And I do mean that from the bottom of my heart, and I always will. Tell somebody else you love them, and that you love them very much. Make a cheesecake. Take it over to a neighbor. Split it with a neighbor. You know, it's a good conversation starter. All right. Till next week. I love you. Talk to you later. Bye.